Just a few days ago, I shared Zillow's latest real estate market predictions in which they believe that home values will decrease over the next 12 months. On top of that, they believe that home sales this year will fall to the lowest levels since the year of 2008. In other words, a 15-year low in home sales this year. However, in today's video, I'll share a more in-depth analysis regarding their latest real estate market predictions for 2024. Before we get started, if you guys appreciate these timely housing market updates, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, consider subscribing as well and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by year end. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video, and let's begin. So first, here's the report I shared with you guys just a few days ago regarding their forecast over the next 12 months here. They forecasted that this year, home prices or home values will increase by 3%. They also stated here that from November this year through October next year, they predicted that home values will decrease by 0.2%. In regards to home sales of existing houses, excluding brand new home construction, that is at 4.1 million for 2023. That would represent an 18% decrease from 2022. But again, like I mentioned, but they don't mention this, that'd be a 15-year low in home sales this year, the lowest levels since 2008. So that's what they had to say on November 27th. Then on November 30th, they posted their latest market predictions for 2024. They're predicting that there's going to be more houses for sale and therefore improved affordability next year. So let's go ahead and dive right in here. So it says here, Zillow's economists predict that home buyers will have more options and a bit more housing affordability due to the fact that we're going to see more inventory hit the market here. They do say here that buying a home will still remain expensive though. Okay, let's first talk about this right here. They say here it's becoming clear that high mortgage rates have some staying power. Expect more homeowners who locked in long-term payments when rates were at all-time record lows to list their houses for sale as they grow weary of waiting for the historically low rates of 2021 to return. I hope no one's really doing this, because if you bought a house in 2020 or in 2021 when rates were around 3%, don't expect to get to a 3% rate anytime soon. A 3% rate was an all-time record low, the lowest levels we've ever seen. And again, that was due to the fact that the Fed decreased the federal funds rate down to 0%. Now it's at around 5.5%. On top of that, the Fed was buying all these mortgage-backed securities, which caused rates to fall to all-time record lows. So for anyone who bought a house over the last 3 years, do not expect to see rates at or below 3% anytime soon. They also say the following here: with mortgage rates rising over the past 2 years, really the past 3 years, homeowners have been reluctant to sell, opting instead to hold on to their ultra low rate of their current mortgage rate. So in my opinion, we're not going to see a surge of new listings unless people are forced to sell their houses. They are having a financial hardship, and therefore they need the equity of their houses in order to pay for everyday living expenses here. I would imagine we're not going to see a giant surplus of inventory anytime soon. And the reason for that is this right here. Let's look at the median sold price compared to 3 years ago. Back in October of 2020, the US median sold price was at $313,000. Back then, rates on average for people with great credit was at 3%. Now rates are at 7.1 to 7.5% right now. So looking at someone buying a house back in October 2019 at $313,000, putting 20% down at a 3% rate, your home insurance approximately $1,200 per year, which of course is around $100 per month. Again, it varies depending on the area though. Taxes at around $3,900 per year. That's a rate at 1.25% of your purchase price. So 1.25% of $313,000. I'm just talking generalities here. So in general, average property taxes is around 1.25%. Zero HOA dues though. So when looking at the total payment of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your payment 3 years ago would be just under $1,500 per month. Look at this though. Your median sale price this October was $400,000. That, by the way, is based on the latest data we have from the National Association of Realtors. So putting 20% down at the current rate as of Friday at 7.09%, keeping insurance roughly on par with the levels we had about 3 years ago, and taxes increasing to $5,000 per year because we're using, again, that same rate at 1.25% of $400,000 is $5,000. Your new housing payment would be just under $2,700 per month. So therefore, that's an increase of about $1,200 more per month to buy a median price home today compared to 3 years ago. I mentioned this because this would be a lateral move, right? If you bought your house 3 years ago at $313,000, your payment around $1,500 right now. If you were to sell your house and buy a new home, obviously I'm assuming the same 20% down payment here, but if you're going to do a lateral move, buying a median price home, again, your housing payment just increased by $1,200 per month. I would imagine there's going to be a low level of people wanting to sell their houses if they're not forced to, due to this giant increase in prices and of course rates as well. Let's also look at this example when looking at someone who's doing a move up, looking to buy a house that's more expensive here. So going from a $313,000 home to a $600,000 purchase here, your property taxes increase from $5,000, now it's at $7,500. Therefore, your housing payment just increased to $3,950 per month. That's a giant increase of $2,500 more per month to buy a house at $600,000 today compared to $313,000 3 years ago. And this, my friends, is one of the main reasons why I believe that inventory is still going to remain very, very low unless unemployment surges and of course a lot of people are forced to sell their houses to get the equity out in order to survive. Of course, what are your thoughts regarding this? Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys because I do welcome a wide range of perspectives here. Let's also go on and discuss their other real estate market predictions here. It says home buying costs will level off, giving hopeful buyers a chance to catch up. A typical home buyer in October would have spent more than 40% of their earnings on their mortgage payment, an all-time record high that stretches back to the 1990s. While affordability will undoubtedly remain the top concern for potential homebuyers next year, there is reason to expect those challenges to ease just a bit. Zillow's latest forecast calls for home values to hold steady in 2024. So their forecast is a decrease in home values falling by 0.2% compared to 2023. Predicting how rates will move is nearly impossible, but recent inflation data or news gives the impression that rates are likely to hold fairly steady as well in the coming months. One thing I will say here is that it is virtually impossible to predict what will happen to home values and rates because they are impacted by so many different factors that are completely beyond our control. So that's why I always tell people when people ask me, is now a good time to sell? Is now a good time to buy a house? It really depends on your goals. But in my opinion, unless you're looking to buy a house and not hold it or not sell it for at least 7 to 10 plus years, in my personal opinion, it's more risky to buy a house if you have short-term time horizons. So my advice for you guys, if you guys are looking to buy a house, is that, yeah, of course we have high rates right now, high home prices, but it's very, very challenging to time the market. So if you're looking to buy a house right now, have long-term time horizons in the range of 7 to 10 plus years, have an emergency fund that would be in place even after you buy the house. and on top of that, a stable job as well. If all these things do not line up for you, then in my opinion, it's actually a little bit more risky to buy a house right now. And that, by the way, is the same advice I've been giving people for 10 plus years as being a real estate agent here in Sacramento, California. Because again, when you speculate and you're wrong, you lose credibility. That's why I don't really speculate on this channel, because again, there's so many factors that impact our market that are completely beyond our control, making it very hard to predict here what's going to happen. In any case, Zillow continues on to say the following here. Taken together, the cost of buying a house looks to be on track to level off next year, with the possibility of costs falling if mortgage rates also do as well. One thing they don't mention here is that rates have been decreasing big time over the past 1 month or so. Rates have decreased from the 8% rate we saw about a month and a half ago. Now they're hovering around 7% right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens next year regarding rates here. Something else they mentioned here as well is that the new starter home will be a single family rental. So though some improvement for home buying affordability is expected next year, many households will continue to be priced out, and demand and prices for single family rentals will continue to increase next year as families look for more affordable options or where to live. In many markets, it's actually cheaper to rent than it is to buy right now. So some people may just opt to rent and hold off on buying a house as well. One possible path to more single-family rental inventory is homeowners deciding to turn their houses into rentals versus selling them and buying a new house. The ultra-low rates held by many existing homeowners make it more likely that this option will pencil out. Something I will add though is that in clients I've been talking to for past several months, not every person can rent out their property and get at least what their housing payment is, or their mortgage payment. In other words, if they were to move and rent out their house, they may lose money each and every month because their housing payment is still high compared to the comparables of what they actually can rent their house for. Just because someone has a very low rate doesn't mean they can just automatically rent it and get a rent that is equal or higher than their current payment as well. They also mentioned the following here. Inventory has been far below normal for a while, and though Zillow predicts that more houses will hit the market in 2024, inventory will remain much lower than pre-pandemic norms. Faced with limited choices, buyers will be willing to overlook small flaws such as an outdated bathroom or kitchen. The higher cost of buying a home today makes a flip harder to pencil out. So buyers may be facing less competition from home flippers for those houses that need TLC. So I would also would agree with them regarding this, because in an environment where rates are high, a lot of home flippers are buying houses using cash, but that cash is coming from somewhere, right? Usually it's coming from an investor in the form of a private money lender. And private money lenders tend to have a higher interest rate versus a conforming 30-year fixed rate loan, for example. So when looking at rates today at around 7.1%, when using a private lender, in general, the rate is actually higher. And therefore, because of that, on top of the fact that overall remodeling cost is still very, very high, often it's really challenging to get into a situation in which a home flipper can buy a house, fix it up, and sell it for more than their costs and actually earn a profit. And therefore, Zillow is predicting that next year, there's going to be fewer flippers and therefore less competition for people who want to buy a house that needs some TLC. Something I'll add here is that my wife and I bought a house that definitely needed a lot of work several years ago. We spent a lot of money fixing it up, but the bonus of that, rather than selling our house and buying a more expensive house, is all the money we saved in our housing payment today. So for example, we did an as-is remodel in which we didn't add on any square footage, we didn't add any bathrooms, and therefore our property tax or property tax base rate did not go up. Because if we were to add on our house at least in my area in Sacramento, then our tax assessed value may get reassessed to current market conditions or get reassessed based on the remodel we did. But because we did a remodel and just did an as-is remodel, just updating what was already there, our property taxes did not go up. If instead we were to sell our house, buy an updated property, our housing payment would skyrocket because the value would cause our property taxes to increase greatly. And of course, our payment to increase as well due to the fact that our purchase of a more updated property would be a lot higher than our payment today that was set several years ago. Therefore, buying a house that needs a little bit of TLC may be a great option if you guys are looking to buy a house. You can update it to your needs and your tastes and preferences versus buying a property that's already updated that may not be updated to what is your preferences. With that said, please leave me a comment below with your thoughts regarding this real estate market predictions from Zillow just announced a couple days ago. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next video.